Good morning again. Treadmill Tax Guys back at it this morning. Buddy called me and he says, "Hey, I trust you. I've come into some money and I'm trying to figure out what I need to do with it." And he's like, "I really want to get investing. I want to get some money into the market, right? Get into equities, things like that." And he's like, "But I don't know what I should do. You got any advice for me?" And the first thing I said to him was, I said, "All right, listen. You could ask your brother, your mother, whoever, and they're all going to give you a different answer." I said, "I come from a certain bias, and I need you to understand my bias." And so I told them first, I'm a saver, and I've explained to people in other videos the difference between a saver and a spender, and I think most people can just correlate what that is without me getting into the details. I said, so I'm a saver. B, I am a Dave Ramsey ELP, meaning I don't like debt. And debt to me is a disease. I don't like it. It affects our mind, body, and our soul. I just don't like it. I said, so I'm coming from that angle. But I also explained to him, I said, listen, I'm not an idiot. I am an accountant as well. I understand that if I invest money that might make 10% in the market, well, okay. If that money, if my debt is say at 3%, in theory I'm making 7, blah, blah, blah. It's great. I get that. So I understand how economics work. I do understand that there is arbitrage. There are people that love to lever. There are people that will take on risk. I totally get it. And so I explained that to him and I said, okay, well, here's my answer based on you knowing me. For me, what I don't believe people understand is that there is not just the objective idea of making money on your money, but there's this subjective thing that says, how would you feel if you didn't have any debt? And that was my first question to him, as I said, listen, we could invest it. We'll probably make more money than what you would have in as far as debt service and things like that, because we're looking at the two options, right? Pay off debt and invest it, right? I mean, he has that. And that's really the choice. And so I always ask people this question. I go, what would it feel like if you didn't have that debt payment? You can't put a number or a quantity on a feeling. And that's why I like to do it. Now, some people, believe it or not, debt, no fear, no issues. They don't care. They could be debt ridden. They sleep good at night, all that stuff. Well, if I run into that person, maybe I'll have a different conversation with them. But I know myself, and I'm anti-debt. I don't like it. I like to pay cash for things. I like to not have debt. Well, in that particular case, my advice to him was this, is I said, listen, where's your heart? What do you want to do? And he goes, well, honestly, it would be great if I didn't have that truck payment. I didn't have that, ice house payment. And I said to him, I said, well, there you go. I said, there's no money in the world that's going to make you feel better about your decision making. I mean, who cares if you make 4%, 5% on your money? If you feel better and you sleep better at night, or right, and whatever it is, that's great. And then I said, but then here's the counter. I said, if we do this, if we pay off the debt, there's two things that I want you to do. I said, I want you to think about that money that you used to spend to those debts, because it's now gone. And I need that money to be saved, not spent. Standard of living. So we save it for A, and B, standard of living doesn't increase. And I said, if you do that, I think you'll feel better about the situation that you're in, as well as we're going to take that surplus and we're going to invest it into the equities. So that was my answer to his question. Now, again, I'm by no means Jesus when it comes to these things. It's just my opinion. But I want people to challenge themselves on the subjective, right? Not just the objective of I invest for 10 and it costs me 3 and I get to keep 7. That's the easy sauce. What's the difficult sauce is what will it actually feel like for you to not have that debt? That's the questions you've got to answer to yourself. How do you feel at night when you go to bed knowing I owe X, Y, and Z so much? but I have this money in these equities that freak me out because when it goes down, I could have paid off of this. So I'm like, well, stop the insanity. Become debt free, and then invest like a crazy person. Put so much of that money and have such a beautiful surplus, and you'll grow it faster, and all of that additional money you can invest. So that was the plan. And it was basically, at the end of our conversation, paying off the truck, paying off the ice house. Still a little bit left over. Okay, great. Now, let's put whatever's left and let's invest it. And for us, for this decision, I mean, we could go real estate, we could go all over stuff, and we basically looked at it and said, well, let's invest it into equities long term. But at the same time, what were those payments? Well, those payments were X. Well, let's take X and let's also invest that on a monthly basis, dollar cost average, right? If you don't know what that is, Google it. Dollar cost average into the equity markets long term. It's safe to say that if we don't have global thermonuclear war, that the markets are probably going to be higher than where they were, higher 10 years from where they are today, right? I mean, maybe a big spike down, big spike up, who knows? But historically speaking, it's probably a good thing that it's going to be that way unless there's a bigger issue at play. So it was a beautiful way. We're going to accomplish both goals. He's going to feel good about not having the debt. And he even said to me, he goes, oh, it'd be amazing if I just had my mortgage and that was the only debt I had. I was like, sold, done. Right? I mean, why are we discussing this at that point? Because you just can't beat the feeling. So challenge yourself. Ask yourself, what would it feel like to not have that debt? And hammer it. Hammer the debt. Go aggressive at it. Make yourself feel a little bit better, and then take that money that you would have normally put down. Don't increase your standard of living. Don't go buy another car, right? Take that money, invest it. Invest it for a goal. If that means you get to pump up your 401k, that means you're going to put it into some sort of non-qualified, do it, but make that choice and make it happen.